We have a fourth line day. Today we are looking at the fourth line of gate 49, and it is called platform. So when you get to this externalization, here it is no longer a process in which the revolutionary potential will have its difficulties in getting out. The first three lines are always about that. They are in the process of developing a recognition of the intrinsic value of their principles. By the time you get to the fourth line, this outwards movement is already established. The transpersonal capacity of the upper trigram. It's so important here in this gate because principles are legitimized through contact with the need, which isn't to say that the needs are going to be correct. It simply means that there is a completeness when the principles meet and recognize that there are specific needs out there that condition those principles. This is an important fourth line because, well, after all, its job is to externalize what has been gained in the lower trigram as a process. It's there to externalize the foundation through its resonance to the first line. It's there to externalize the principles. And being a fourth line, there's a fixedness in externalizing the principles. And so we have the name of this line, platform, which is a bit like soapbox, you could say, a soapbox by any other name. It's where the 49-4 is going to establish and concretize their externalizing. You know, it's they're going to say things like, this is what we're going to externalize. And we're externalizing what we think you over there need, what you really need. And they show you what it is that they think you need. They externalize it for you. Here are the principles. I think you need these principles. It can actually be a really, really political kind of activation. 49 is, as we know, we've discovered already, it's a political gate. So the fourth line as an externalization is fixed, it's one tracked. We know this about fourth lines. We've already seen it when we looked at the 11-4 in the way in which the teacher works, and in the 17-4 in the way in which the personnel manager works. And we know that a fourth line keynote is the missionary because of the zeal with which they externalize the message of their hexagram. The agenda here in the 49-4 is narrow, whatever that agenda happens to be, because of the inherent fixedness of our fourth lines. In the exaltation, it says a political and social agenda embodied in guarantees to human rights that in, hold on a minute, I haven't remembered this correctly, have I? Hold on a minute. Exaltation, here we go. A political and social agenda embodied in guarantees, I got that mixed up, embodied in guarantees to human rights that ensures a just and valued replacement of the old order. A potential sensitivity to the needs of society. Note the word potential. This is what the principles are supposed to do. They're supposed to be there to benefit the society as a whole. And of course, that's the claptrap that always comes with it, isn't it, really? That's what they're going to do for you. But always read the fine print when it comes to a revolution, because this is not collective. This isn't a logical revolutionary. This is an emotional revolutionary. This is an emotional force that's going to bring you up and fill you with hope and take advantage of being able to bring you down and fill you with despair so that you will accept its principles. Ra said, never forget that this gate can be brutal. That's the word that he used, brutal. And the 49-4 can be really tricky. And he had the 49. He had it not in this line. He was a fifth line, wasn't he, with his 49? But he knew what he was talking about. What happens to the 49-4 in this exaltation is that their concerns are legitimate, but their focus is limited. That can be of enormous value. You know, say you've got someone whose only concern is about animal welfare. That's their platform. That's their soapbox. They see someone with a fur coat and they go crazy. If they start to think about cattle being locked up in horrible, horrible boxes, being injected all day long with hormones and antibiotics and given awful food, they go nuts. They have a single agenda, and that can be a wonderful thing. It can also be a pain in the ass. These are people who are always banging on at you, not the animal rights people, the 49.4 people. These are people who are always banging on at you with their single, focused, fixed platform. But the need here is not a general need of society. This is the other thing about the fixedness. It's a very specific need. And also, it's tribal. These people, when they're at home, because we're not talking about the world, we're talking about the tribe, we're talking about the household. You know, they have their special fixed agenda when they're at home. They're fixed on a particular resource, something they think is necessary. So they might say, I don't care if you want a new bed, I need a new car. And they get fixed on their specific agenda and nothing else matters to them. They know that the car is of value because it will allow them to work. They bring money into the tribe. The tribe is very materialistic. They will have their own way of seeing why the principle is necessary, and they will have their way of telling you about that. They're not very clear about what else is going on around and maybe what other needs are, and they are easily rejected. In the detriment, it says promises, 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 and only to guarantee support with little possibility of implementation. A potential to insensitively take advantage of the needs of society. Very easy to blame the 49.4 in detriment for externalizing principles for their own gain and recognizing as they're externalizing these principles that they do not necessarily have principles that are really of value for you. We have it all the time. You know, we've all kinds of people putting out their political agenda, standing on their political soapbox in order to get whatever tax advantages or contributions or, you know, lobby funds or whatever it is. They don't care because whatever they're putting out is going to bring that back to them. They don't care if it's something people really need. And it's emotional and it can be very unclear. So check in with any 49s that you know. Ask them. Ask them how their principles have changed over the course of their lifetime. And it might depend on other facts in the design, of course, whether their ajna is defined or not, and they want to be certain, or their not self is, you know, determined to be certain, whether their solar plexus is defined or not. If there's an open emotional system here, the 49 might be unconscious. You know, every time somebody emotionalizes you when they come into your field, there's the potential for another kind of principle. So the grounding is coming through gate 4 in that well-loved fourth line called the liar. The liar. Well, isn't that a quality that plays right into the platform of the 49.4, externalizing their own principles, being very fixed in the way they do that? Because the liar is a bit of an actor. So maybe some play acting skills come in handy when you're trying to gain support for an agenda that may or may not actually be that interesting or valuable to the collective or the individual. The moon has been in gate 62 since our 10 past midnight today, the logical gate of details. And we have that channel with Venus in gate 17, the channel of acceptance, until the moon transits to gate 56 at 10:23. We're still in the throat here, the abstract side. And you may remember from previous transits that we've been through that we have a sequence of 4 gates here that move in a kind of a zigzag or spiral pattern. And the 62 collective logic goes to its mirror opposite, the collective abstract in the 56, which goes to the collective logic of the 31, and then to its mirror, the collective abstract, the 33. And they're all throat gates. Gate 56 is the storyteller, it's the wanderer, the gate of stimulation. And this takes us into the 31 at 2040, which is a gate of influence and leadership, telling a good story with the correct amount of detail. Well, that can be stimulating. That can be really influential. You can impact or impart a lot of information through a good story. And then we go into our retreat and our privacy into gate 33 at 7:02, and we reflect upon what we have heard, or who and what we have influenced, and how maybe this has served the collective. So thank you for joining me for the line 4 of gate 49. Back tomorrow with the 5th line, of course, so I look forward to seeing you then. And until then, as always, good job.